Next is balancing of several masses in different planes. So we have seen the balancing of several masses in a single rotor in a same plane. Now what if we are having the different masses in different planes? Like suppose we have this figure, we have three different rotors and three different rotors has masses in different planes, the unbalanced masses in different planes, and we have to balance this complete system. So how can we balance this? Okay, so we have these three masses m1, m2 and m3 in three different rotors in three different planes. Okay, we have taken a reference plane, and from this reference plane mass m1 is at an angle theta 1, mass m2 is at an angle theta 2 and mass m3 is at an angle theta 3. Okay, just make this figure very clear in your mind, without that you cannot understand this. Okay, so initially we were having like three rotors we were having like this. These are two bearings, okay, and we were having three different rotors in which we were having masses at different locations. Getting this or not? Okay, so what we have done is we have now what we have to do is we will take two reference planes here. We will take two reference planes, suppose C1 and C2, through which we can balance this whole system. That means we will put the masses in these two reference planes only. Now why is this two reference plane taken? We will discuss it later on. So C1 और C2 दो reference planes हमने ली, okay, and the distances suppose are from C1, the distances are suppose L1, and the mass M2 is having the distance L2, mass M3 is having the distance L3, and this reference plane LC2 is having the distance, this reference plane C2 is having the different distance LC2 from the plane C1. Getting this? So what we have done so far, we were having three different masses at an angle theta 1, theta 2, theta 3 in three different rotors. We have taken two reference planes C1 and C2, and we have taken the distance of different masses from the reference planes. So the very first thing is we have to transfer these forces, the forces Fc1, Fc2 and Fc3, we have to transfer these forces to any one reference plane. And how can we transfer the forces from one plane to other? I will explain you. Suppose we have this plane in which we are having a force, suppose F1, okay, and this we have to transfer it to another plane, this plane. Suppose this is a reference plane, and here we are having an unbalanced mass, we have to transfer this force to this plane. So how can we transfer this? So for this we will put equal and opposite force here. I have already explained you several times this thing. We will have to put equal and opposite force here. Now this force F1 and this force F1, this will together create a couple, a clockwise couple, and left is the force F1. So finally it will be like this. So we are having a force, an upward force F1 and a moment, okay, and how much moment? Suppose this distance is x, so this moment will be equal to F1 into x, okay. So this is how we can transfer the force from one plane to other, okay. So in the same way we have to transfer all these forces, okay. So finally after transferring it to this particular plane, we will get like this. Okay, so first is this theta 1, is at an angle theta 1, okay. Second is theta 2, and last is theta 3 here. Getting this now? Okay. Now this forces are transferred, or this forces are equal to mr omega square, as we know, or directly we can write it as mr, as the shaft is same, so omega will be common for all these rotors, for all these masses, and same will be the direction of couple as well. जिस डायरेक्शन में हमारा मास है, जिस डायरेक्शन में हमारा रेडियस है r1 r2 एंड r3, सेम विल बी द डायरेक्शन ऑफ द कपल. ओके, सो कपल के भी डायरेक्शन क्या होंगे? कपल के मैग्नीट्यूड कितना होगा? एम आर एल इंटू ओमेगा स्क्वायर. कपल वेक्टर के मैग्नीट्यूड जो होंगे डेट इज एम आर एल ओमेगा स्क्वायर एंड डायरेक्शन विल बी सेम एज डेट ऑफ द डायरेक्शन ऑफ m1 m2 and m3. Okay, so let us first draw the couple polygon, couple vector polygon. So how will be the couple vector polygon? So first is m1 r1 l1 into omega square. Okay, couple किस पॉइंट, किस प्लेन के अबाउट ले रहे हैं? वी आर टेकिंग द कपल अबाउट द रेफरेंस प्लेन. ओके, तो इसका कपल क्या होगा? m1 r1 इंटू l1. इसका कपल होगा m2 r2 इंटू l2, m3 r3 इंटू l3, टेकिंग ओमेगा स्क्वायर एज कॉमन. Okay, so couple polygon will be like this. M1 R1 L1. Okay, then parallel to this M2 R2 L2. Okay, then parallel to this M3 R3 L3. Okay. Now this polygon is not completed. This shows that this is not a balanced. Balance नहीं है, तो क्या करना पड़ेगा? Then we will have to put a reference mass in this large plane C2. Okay. Now how much reference mass? How much we will have to put a mass, balancing mass in this reference plane C2. Now how much mass we have to put and where we have to put that mass, that will be decided by this. Okay. So what we have to do is we will join this. Okay, and this will be the direction of the final mass which has to be put on this reference plane C2. Suppose this mass is mc2. Getting this or not? I will explain you again. Okay, initially we have to draw the couple vector polygon. The direction of couple vector polygon is same as that of the direction of m1 m2 and m3, radius of m1 m2 and m3. Okay, so initial vector m1 r1 l1, omega square is taken as common, so this m1 r1 l1, this vector, then m2 r2 l2 parallel to this vector, then m3 r3 l3 parallel to this vector. Okay, the remaining we are not having the closed polygon. ये closed polygon नहीं है, this means this is not a balanced one. Okay, so in order to balance this, we will have to put one mass in this reference plane C2. Getting this or not? Okay, तो यहाँ हमको एक मास पुट करना है, तो कहाँ पर करना है, कितने एंगल पे करना है? सो डेट विल बी डिसाइडेड बाय दिस. ओके, सो वी आर क्लोजिंग दिस विथ अ वेक्टर. ओके, और इसके पैरेलल में देन वी विल पुट अ मास mc2 इन द रेफरेंस प्लेन c2. Getting this? So we can measure this and the magnitude will be equal to mc2 rc2 into lc2. Okay, LC2 we are having, so from here we can by measuring this vector we can determine the value of this mc2 rc2. Clear or not? Okay, now second thing is we will draw the polygon for force vector. Force vector के लिए polygon draw करना है. Okay, direction will be same, direction of force vector will be same. Okay, and with that we will have to determine the mass which has to be put on this reference plane C1. ओके, तो फोर्स वेक्टर के लिए फोर्स वेक्टर ड्रॉ करते हैं. सो फर्स्ट वेक्टर इज m1 r1, देन m2 r2, देन m3 r3. ओके, नाउ अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस वी हैव टू पुट वन मास इन दिस रेफरेंस प्लेन C1. ओके, तो एक मास यहाँ हमने पुट किया, वन मास वी हैव टू पुट इट हियर. प्रीवियसली वाज अ कपल पॉलीगॉन, तो इसलिए इसका इफेक्ट क्योंकि हमने इसके रेफरेंस में ही लिया था तो इस मास का इफेक्ट इसमें नहीं दिखा. ओके, सो इसीलिए दो रेफरेंस प्लेन ली गई है ताकि हम यहाँ से mc2 और rc2 हम निकाल सके. Getting this not? So once we get the value of this mc2 rc2, then we can draw this polygon. Okay, now we will put a vector parallel to this mc2 rc2 lc2 with magnitude mc2 rc2. Okay, from here we can determine this mc2 rc2 and with this magnitude we can draw this vector. Okay, the remaining side we can close this polygon and this remaining side will give us mc1 rc1. That's it. So this is the graphical method how we can determine this MC1 RC1 and MC2 RC2. And in the same way we can determine the angle also. Suppose this is our reference plane, this is theta C2, okay, this is our reference plane, this is theta C, this is theta C2 and this is theta C1, sorry. Getting this or not? Okay, so this is the graphical method, but obviously graphical method, solving the questions by a graphical method in GATE exam is not possible, so we will look into analytical method as well. Getting this or not? Okay. Okay, so now we will calculate it with the help of analytical method. So for perfect balancing, summation of fx should be equal to 0 and summation of fy should be equal to 0. Okay, or you can say we have three different masses m1, m2 and m3, okay, in three different planes as I told you, okay, and we have transferred it to a single plane. So इस particular plane में अब summation of fx, summation of fy should be equal to 0, and apart from these three masses we have two more masses, that is mc1 and mc2. Obviously the location and position is not known, the magnitude and position is not known for this mc1 and mc2. That is what we have to determine through analytical method now. Okay, so summation of fx should be equal to 0. So with this we will get what? m1 r1 omega square cos theta 1 plus m2 r2 omega square cos theta 2 plus m3 r3 omega square cos theta 3. Okay, and apart from this we have two different masses, mc1 and mc2. Okay, so this will be mc1 rc1 omega square cos theta c1, mc1 rc1 and theta c1 is unknown, plus mc2 rc2 omega square cos theta c2. This should be equal to 0. Why 0? Because we are assuming that by putting these two masses mc1 and mc2 into reference planes, we are completely balancing this system, and because the system is balancing, so the total summation should be equal to 0, as simple as that. Getting this not? Okay, or you can say, so this will be equal to summation of mr cos theta, omega square is common, plus mc1 rc1 cos theta c1 plus mc2 rc2 cos theta c2. This should be equal to 0. Similarly, summation of fy is equal to 0, or you can say summation of mr sin theta plus mc1 rc1 sin theta c1 plus mc2 rc2 sin theta c2. This should be equal to 0. Okay, so give this as equation number 1 and equation number 2. Okay, we will use this equation, but before that same thing अभी हमने forces के लिए किया, now we will do it for couple. Okay, so for couple, summation of fx should be equal to 0 and summation of fy should be equal to 0. Okay, okay, so this will be equal to summation of mrl cos theta plus mc1 same plane में हम ले रहे हैं, तो couple we will not consider this couple, only one couple will be considered, that is mc2 rc2 lc2 cos theta c2. This should be equal to 0. Okay, similarly summation of fy is equal to 0, summation of mrl sin theta plus mc2 rc2 lc2 sin of theta c2. This should be equal to 0. Okay, or you can say from here mc2 rc2 lc2 cos theta c2 is equal to minus of summation of mrl cos theta, and mc2 rc2 lc2 sin theta c2 is equal to minus of mrl sin theta. Getting this or not? Suppose this is equation number 3 and equation number 4. Okay, now squaring and adding equation 3 and equation 4, what we will get is sin square theta plus cos square theta is 1. So this will be equal to mc2 rc2. This will be equal to under root of summation of mrl cos theta whole square plus summation of mrl sin theta whole square. Okay, so this is how we can determine this mc2 rc2. Okay, and what will be the angle? So tan of theta c2, this will be equal to summation of fy upon summation of fx. So this will be equal to minus of summation of mrl sin theta upon minus of summation of mrl cos theta. Getting this or not? Okay, so this is the expression of MC2 RC2 and theta C2. Clear or not? Okay, so now using this equation, now we have the value of MC2 RC2, MC2 RC2 and theta C2, we have the value. Okay, and from here we can determine the value of this MC1 RC1. How? So from equation 1 we can write it as MC1 RC1 cos of theta C1 is equal to minus of summation of MR cos theta plus MC2 RC2 cos theta C2. Similarly, from equation 2, MC1 RC1 sin of theta C1 is equal to minus of summation of MR sin theta plus MC2 RC2 sin of theta C2. Getting this or not? Okay, now again suppose this is equation number 4 and this is equation number 5. Again squaring and adding this 4 and 5, what we will get is MC1 RC1 is equal to under root of summation of MR cos theta plus MC2 RC2 cos theta C2 whole square plus summation of MR sin theta plus MC2 RC2 sin of theta C2 whole square. That's it. Okay, so this is the expression for MC1 RC1. From here we can get the value of this MC1 RC1. Similarly, tan of theta C1, this will be equal to minus of summation of MR sin theta plus MC2 RC2 sin theta C2 by dividing 5 by 4, tan theta C1 divided by minus MR cos theta plus MC2 RC2 cos of theta C2. That's it. Getting this now? Okay, so this is how we can determine these two masses analytically, MC1 RC1 tan theta C1 and MC2 RC2 tan theta C2. Getting this now? Okay. Next is the balancing of reciprocating masses. Now how to balance a reciprocating mass? So for this we will consider a simple slider crank mechanism. So in this slider crank mechanism we have one crank which is pure rotary mass, we have one slider which is pure reciprocating mass, and we have a connecting rod which covers rotary and reciprocating motion. Okay, so we will try to balance this particular component. So we have this slider crank mechanism and we have to balance this. So one thing we know, students, the acceleration produced in a slider crank mechanism A is equal to r omega square cos theta plus r omega square cos 2 theta by n, where this n is equal to L by r. Okay, the length of this crank is r, length of the connecting rod is L, and the angle at a particular instant we are considering as theta. Okay, so this is the formula for acceleration. This, if you want the proof, you can see the proof from the dynamic analysis. Okay, it is explained there. You can see the proof here. Okay, so this is the acceleration in this particular slider. Okay, now what will be the force then? Force, as we know, is what? M into A. So this force acting on the slider will be equal to mr omega square cos theta plus mr omega square cos 2 theta by n. Getting this or not? Okay, where m is the mass of a slider. The mass of a slider here is m. Okay, so as you can see, we have two component of forces here. First, this is called as the primary force Fp, and this is called as the secondary force Fs. Okay, so primary force Fp is mr omega square cos theta. Secondary force Fs is mr omega square cos 2 theta by n. N, as I told you, is equal to L by r. Okay, so now few important things you can note here. First thing, the maximum value of this primary force. What will be the maximum value of this primary force? So this Fp max, this is maximum at theta is equal to 0 degree and 180 degree, and the value will be cos 0 and cos 180 is 1. So the Fp max will be equal to mr omega square at theta is equal to 0 degree and 180 degree. Okay, so at 0 degree means when crank is at this position, and at 180 degree. And at 180 degree, when crank is at this position, we have maximum primary force and whose magnitude is equal to mr omega square. Okay, similarly maximum secondary force this is equal to when will be this force maximum? When cos 2 theta is equal to 1, and when cos 2 theta is 1, then this will be equal to m r omega square by n. This is maximum value of secondary force at theta is equal to 0 degree, 90 degree, 180 degree and 360 degree. Getting this not? Because when theta is 90, cos 2 theta is 180, 2 theta is 180 and cos 180 is 1. So likewise we have 4 different crank positions at which secondary force is maximum, and we have 2 different crank positions at which primary force is maximum. And one thing you can see here, that Fp max or F secondary maximum is equal to F primary maximum divided by n. Okay, Fp maximum is mr omega square, Fs max is mr omega square by n. So Fs max is equal to Fp max divided by n. Now since n, as I told you, is equal to L by R, and this, the value of this L is generally very greater than that of R. Since L is very greater than R, therefore n is very greater than 1. Okay, so this, the value of this secondary force is very less as compared to the primary force, and in most of the cases this can be neglected. So basically what we have to do is we have to balance the primary force only. So first we will balance this particular force, the primary force. Now how to balance the primary force of the slider, that we will see. Okay, so एक चीज यहाँ समझना पड़ेगा, the mass of this slider is m. Okay, and the primary force is mr omega square cos theta, which we have to balance. Okay, so I can assume one mass. Why am I assuming this? You will understand this very soon. I can assume one mass m at this particular point, at end of this crank. Okay, so what will happen with this assumed mass? Because the crank is suppose rotating in this direction, in clockwise direction, and because of this it will produce a centrifugal force whose magnitude will be equal to mr omega square. Getting this now? And this angle, since is theta, so this will be equal to the component, x component will be equal to mr omega square cos theta. Getting this or not? And this mr omega square cos theta is nothing but the primary force which we have to balance. Okay, so that's why we are assuming this particular mass, because we can easily balance the rotary mass, but reciprocating mass is difficult to balance directly. तो इसलिए हम क्या कर रहे हैं, उसको indirectly balance कर रहे हैं. किस तरीके से कर रहे हैं? Because the component of this reciprocating force, this is again in this direction, which is equal to primary force is mr omega square cos theta. Okay, so instead of balancing this particular component, I can assume one mass m here, so it will produce the force component mr omega square cos theta, which is same as that of this component. तो अगर मैं इस particular mass को यहाँ balance कर लूँ, so automatically this will be balanced. However, this was the assumed mass. ये mass actual में यहाँ पर नहीं है. This is the assumed mass. तो but इस assumed mass को अगर मैं balance कर लूँ इसके x component को, mr omega square cos theta, if this can be balanced, then obviously this will be balanced. Getting this concept or not? Clear or not? Okay, तो अब क्या करना है? What we have to do now is we have to balance this particular mass. How can we balance this particular mass? Okay, so for this we can, this is suppose rotating at a radius r. Okay, so now we can assume a mass, a balancing mass, suppose mb, which is rotating at a radius rb. Clear or not? Okay, so this is a balancing mass. In order to balance this, why we want to balance this? Because the x component of this is same as that of the component, the primary force, because of this reciprocating mass, which is mr omega square. Okay, so because this angle is theta, so this angle will be theta. Okay, so what will be the x component of this mb? So this will be equal to the obviously centrifugal force is mb omega square rb. So this component will be equal to mb omega square rb cos of theta. Getting this now? Okay, so for balancing, what is required for balancing? So mr omega square cos theta which is the primary force component of that slider also, is equal to mb rb omega square cos theta. Okay, so from here this omega square gets cancelled out, cos theta gets cancelled out, and we will get what? M into r is equal to mb into rb. Getting this not? Okay, but this is not the final case. Now what will happen? So what we have done is we have introduced a balancing mass here in order to balance this component mr omega square cos theta. Okay, so no doubt that component is balanced. We have mb omega square cos theta rb cos theta in x direction. Now apart from this we will be having one vertical component also. Okay, so ये balancing force हमको मिल गया, बट इसके अलावा एक वर्टिकल कंपोनेंट भी मिल गया, एंड दैट वर्टिकल कंपोनेंट इज हाउ मच? mb ओमेगा स्क्वायर rb sin of theta. Okay, and most important part here is this sin theta, that is this vertical component of force is dependent on theta. Dependent on theta means जैसे जैसे इसका थीटा चेंज हो रहा है तो कंप्लीट रोटेशन में इसका मैग्नीट्यूड जो है वो चेंज होगा, एंड दिस पर्टिकुलर फोर्स विल प्रोड्यूस jumping of the engine. Getting this not? Okay, and maximum value of that jump is hammer blow that we will discuss in the later part. Okay, so this will produce jumping. So this has also to be managed. This has also to be maintained. Okay, so क्या किया हमने? इसको बैलेंस करने के चक्कर में हमारे पास ये एक एक्स्ट्रा कंपोनेंट आ गया. So इसको भी हमको अब मैनेज करना है. So how can we manage this? So we can make a compromise on this balancing. So instead of balancing the whole component, we can balance a part of component. Suppose c fraction of component ही हम balance कर रहे हैं, where this c will vary from 1/2 to 2/3. Getting this not? So instead of balancing the whole component, whole of the force, we are just balancing a part of that force. C fraction of that force is balanced. Okay, so we are just balancing a fraction of that force, primary force c, and this c lies between half to 2/3. ओके, तो उससे हुआ क्या देखो. सो दिस m इंटू आर mb इंटू आर बी, दिस इज इक्वल टू c टाइम्स ऑफ m इंटू आर. सो इंस्टेड ऑफ बैलेंसिंग कंप्लीटली वी आर बैलेंसिंग partially. How much fraction we are balancing? C fraction we are balancing. mb into rb should be equal to cmr. Okay, now what will happen? So because of this, now here we will be having, this was mb omega square rb cos of theta. Okay, so this we can write it as mb into rb is equal to cm into r. So this can be written as c omega square cmr omega square cos theta. Similarly this can be written as what? cmr omega square sin theta. Okay, so हुआ क्या देखो, अब देखो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है ये कि initially we were having m omega square r cos theta here and m omega square r sin theta here. Okay, and this was producing jump and we had to minimize this. So हमने क्या किया, अब इसका c fraction balance किया. So this now becomes cmr omega square sin theta, where c obviously is less than 1. So ये वाला force minimize हो गया. But as a result of that, this particular force m omega square r cos theta is not completely balanced. वो बस partially balanced हुआ. Therefore there will be an unbalanced force along the line of stroke. So now we will be having an unbalanced force along the line of stroke and an unbalanced force perpendicular to the line of stroke. Getting this now? Okay, so what will be the unbalanced force? Along line of stroke. So this will be equal to net force. Here the force acting is mr omega square cos theta. Here mr omega square cos theta into c. So net force acting will be equal to, and obviously mr omega square cos theta is greater than cmr omega square cos theta. So net force will be equal to mr omega square cos theta minus cmr omega square cos theta, or this will be equal to 1 minus c into mr omega square cos of theta. This is net unbalanced force along the line of stroke. And what is the direction of this? It will be directed in this direction, because mr omega square cos theta is more. Getting this or not? Okay, similarly unbalanced force perpendicular to the line of stroke. Line of stroke के perpendicular में कितना unbalanced force है? Unbalanced force perpendicular to line of stroke. So this will be equal to what? How much? cmr omega square sin theta. and this is directed downward. Okay, so we can get the resultant of these two forces. So we have unbalanced force along the line of stroke like this, unbalanced force perpendicular to the line of stroke like this. So resultant will be in this direction, and we can calculate this resultant by Pythagoras theorem or by triangle law. So this resultant R, resultant unbalanced force, this will be under root of this square plus this square. So this will be equal to under root of 1 minus C m omega square R cos theta whole square plus CMR omega square sin theta whole square. Okay, so on calculating this, we can get what? The resultant unbalanced force. Getting this? Okay, so this is the resultant unbalanced force, and in order to balance the reciprocating mass, we are putting the mass mb. Okay, now suppose if we want to balance the reciprocating as well as rotary mass. Okay, so we have this reciprocating mass of mass m. Along with this, we have a rotary mass, the mass of this crank. Suppose that mass is m1. Okay, and this mass is also assumed to be concentrated at this point. So here we have this particular mass m1 as well. Okay, so now the function of this mb, balancing mass, is to balance that reciprocating mass as well as to balance the rotary mass. Okay, so obviously a part of this reciprocating mass is balanced. Complete reciprocating mass cannot be balanced, as you have seen, and complete rotary mass will be balanced. Okay, so for balancing both reciprocating and rotary mass, okay, so what will be the condition for that? So for that, mb into rb, this will be equal to a part of reciprocating mass is balanced, cm into r, plus full rotary mass is balanced, m1 into r. Okay, so this is the condition when we have to balance both rotary as well as reciprocating mass. Getting this now? Okay, so we will solve one question related to this topic. A single cylinder reciprocating engine has a speed of 240 rpm, stroke 300 mm, mass of reciprocating parts 50 kg, mass of revolving parts at 150 mm of radius is 37 kg. If 2/3 of reciprocating part and all revolving part is to be balanced, find the balance mass required at a radius of 400 mm and the residual unbalanced force when the crank has rotated 60 degree from the inner dead center. Getting this? Okay, so what are the given figures? So we have a single cylinder reciprocating engine which has a speed of 240 rpm. That means omega, which is equal to 2 pi n by 60. First thing. Stroke is given as 300 mm. Mass of reciprocating part is 50 kg. Mass of reciprocating part we have considered as m. So this m is given as 50 kg. Mass of revolving part is 37 kg. m1 is given as 37 kg. And this revolving part is rotating at a radius of 150 mm. That is given as 150 mm. Getting this now? If 2/3 of the reciprocating part is to be balanced, that means C is equal to 2 by 3 and all revolving part is to be balanced, find the balance mass required at a radius of 400 mm. The balance mass required at a radius of 400 mm, that means RB is given as 400 mm. Okay, so how can we calculate the balance mass? So we have to balance the reciprocating as well as rotary mass. Okay, so we can put this formula. So here we have what? MB into RB is equal to CMR plus M1 into R. Okay, so C is 2 by 3 into M is given as 50 into R is given as 0.15 meter plus M1 is 37 into R is 0.15. So from here, and also this RB is also given. So this MB, this RB is given as MB into 0.4. So from here we can calculate this MB. So this MB will be equal to 26.37 kg. Answer. First thing. Okay. Secondly, we have to determine the residual unbalanced force when crank angle has rotated 60 degree from the inner dead center. That means theta is given as 60 degree. Theta is 60 degree, and we have to calculate the resultant unbalanced force. So in this formula we can put the values. So this will be equal to under root of 1 minus 2 by 3 into m omega square r cos theta. We can calculate omega. This omega will be equal to 2 pi n by 60, which is equal to 25.13 radian per second. Okay, so this will be equal to 1 minus 2 by 3 whole square into we can put this m omega square r outside. So this m omega square r into under root of 1 minus c square cos square theta plus c square into sin square theta. Getting this now? Okay, so just put the values. So this will be equal to m is 50 into omega 2 pi n by 60 is 25.13 square into r is 0.15 under root of 1 minus 2 by 3 square into cos of 60 square, cos square 60 plus 2 by 3 square into sin square 60. Okay, so on calculating this, we will get this unbalanced force as 2823.6 Newton. Answer. Getting this not? Okay, simple question. Next topic is the partial balancing of locomotives. Now we all know about locomotives, and the prime mover for locomotive are the engines. That engine may be either 2-cylinder engine, 3-cylinder engine or 4-cylinder engines, and based on the position of that of the cylinders in that engine, we can classify the 2-cylinder engine into two types. First is inside cylinder engine and second is outside cylinder engines. Okay, now what is inside cylinder engines? So we have these are the driving wheels and these are the cylinders. The cylinders are placed inside the driving wheels. Okay, now you might be thinking, why is this cylinder kept like this? This is not the cylinder, this is the position of crank. Position of crank is at 90 degree to each other. Okay, so this is the way to show the position of crank. The angle, the difference in angle between the two cranks of the two cylinder is 90 degree. Similarly here the two cylinders are placed outside, and obviously the difference of the angle between the two cranks is 90 degree. Getting this now? Okay, so these are two types of cylinders, two types of locomotive: inside cylinder locomotive and outside cylinder locomotive. Now what happens when the reciprocating engine of these locomotives run? Obviously they will produce an unbalance. We have already seen about unbalance of reciprocating engines. So suppose we have these two wheels and these are two engines, suppose. Okay, you can understand it in this way. I will make this more simple. Okay, so the angle, as I told you, the difference in crank angle is 90 degree. So we have these two cylinder, and whenever we have a reciprocating cylinder running, an unbalanced force is produced, as I told you. So unbalanced force is produced first along the line of stroke, and second is perpendicular to the line of stroke. Okay, so the unbalanced force which is produced along the line of stroke, this will produce two effects. First is tractive force, and second thing is swaying couple. These tractive force and swaying couple are produced because of unbalanced force along the line of stroke. Okay, now what is this tractive force? Tractive force is the resultant unbalanced force along the line of stroke. Resultant unbalanced forces along the line of stroke. And what is the swaying couple? Now because of these two, because we have two different engines which are having two different forces along the line of stroke, so obviously they will produce a couple. So this couple is nothing but the swaying couple. We will look into more details here. Okay, so first is the unbalanced force which is along the line of stroke. Second is the unbalanced force perpendicular to the line of stroke. And as I told you, the unbalanced force which is perpendicular to line of stroke, that will produce hammer blow. It will produce the jump of an engine, and the maximum value of that unbalanced force perpendicular to the line of stroke is referred as hammer blow. Okay, so we will study about these three different effects. First is tractive force and swaying couple, which is because of unbalanced force along the line of stroke, and third is hammer blow, which is because of unbalanced force perpendicular to the line of stroke. Okay, now first thing is coming to the tractive force, or you can call it as variation of tractive force. Now, as I told you, what is tractive force? The resultant of unbalanced force of the two cylinders along the line of stroke. Okay, so what will be the unbalanced force of first cylinder? This is equal to, as I told you, 1 minus C m omega square r into cos theta. Suppose the crank is at an angle theta. Okay, similarly, unbalanced force of cylinder 2 along line of stroke. This is also along line of stroke. Along line of stroke. So this will be equal to 1 minus C m omega square r into cos of. Now what will be the angle? So as I told you, the difference of angle between the two cranks is 90 degree. So if this angle is theta, then this will be cos of 90 plus theta. Getting this or not? Okay, so what will be the tractive force? As we have defined what is tractive force, the resultant of the two unbalanced forces. So we will have to add these two unbalanced forces. So the tractive force Ft will be equal to, just add these two. So we will get what? 1 minus C m omega square r. This will be taken as common, cos theta, and cos of 90 plus theta is minus of sin theta. Cos theta minus sin theta. Okay, now for maximum and minimum value of this tractive force Ft, obviously this tractive force is dependent upon only one variable is there, and that is theta. Okay, so if we want to calculate the maximum and minimum value of this Ft, it should be the maximum or minimum value of cos theta minus sin theta. Okay, so for maximum and minimum value of Ft, differentiate this and equate it to 0. D by d theta of cos theta minus sin theta, this should be equal to 0, or you can say minus of sin theta minus of cos theta should be equal to 0, or tan theta should be equal to minus 1, or theta is equal to 135 degree or 315 degree. Okay, so tan theta is minus 1 at 135, tan of 135 degree and tan of 315 degree. Okay, so these are two values of theta. Okay, so from here we can calculate the maximum and minimum value of tractive force. Okay, so just put the value of theta as 135 or 315 degree. So this will be Ft is equal to plus minus of 1 minus C m omega square r into cos 135 minus sin of 135 degree. Okay, and on solving this we will get what? Ft is equal to plus minus root 2 1 minus C into m omega square r. Okay, so this is the value for tractive force. The tractive force will vary between plus minus of root 2 1 minus C m omega square r. Getting this or not? Okay, next is the swaying couple. So as I told you, what is the swaying couple? Suppose we have these two cylinders which are having some unbalanced mass along the line of a stroke. Okay, and what are those unbalanced masses? As we have seen, first is 1 minus C m omega square r cos theta and 1 minus C m omega square r cos of 90 plus theta or theta plus 90. Okay, and suppose the distance between the two cylinder is a, so this distance is a by 2, this distance is a by 2, and this distance is also a by 2. Getting this now? Okay, so what will be the net couple? What will be the swaying couple? Because these two are different forces that will not cancel out each other. Okay, so there will be a net couple along the axis. Suppose this axis is a y axis, so there will be a net couple along this axis. Okay, so what will be that net couple? So this swaying couple is equal to, because of this we have 1 minus c m omega square r cos theta into a by 2 minus 1 minus c m omega square r cos of theta plus 90 into a by 2. Okay, or you can say 1 minus c m omega square r into a by 2, in bracket we have cos theta. Okay, now cos 90 plus theta is minus of sin theta, minus minus plus, plus of sin theta. Okay, so this is the value for swaying couple. Getting this or not? Okay, so again if we want to calculate the maximum and minimum value of this swaying couple, so what will be the, for maximum and minimum swaying couple, okay, what is required? D by d theta of cos theta plus sin theta, this should be equal to 0, or you can say minus sin theta plus cos theta should be equal to 0, or tan theta should be equal to 1, or from here this theta will be equal to what? 45 degree or 225 degree. Getting this now? Tan theta is equal to 1, therefore theta should be equal to 45 degree or 225 degree. Okay, so just put the value of theta here, you will get maximum and minimum swaying couple. Okay, so maximum and minimum swaying couple. This will be equal to what? Plus minus of 1 minus c m omega square r into a by 2 cos of 45 plus sin of 45. Cos 45 is 1 by root 2, sin of 45 is 1 by root 2, plus minus, this will be equal to a by root 2 into 1 minus c m omega square r. That's it. Okay, so this is the maximum value of, maximum and minimum value of swaying couple. Getting this now? Okay, so in this way we can calculate the maximum and minimum value of tractive force and swaying couple. Okay, so what can be done in order to reduce this swaying couple? So in order to reduce this swaying couple, we will have to put a balancing mass. But as we have seen that balancing mass is also having the effect perpendicular to the direction of line of stroke, and because of which we partially balance, not completely balance, we partially balance by a fraction c, which we have given the name as c, and that c for this swaying couples for 2-cylinder engine, that c varies from 2/3 to 3/4 for a 2-cylinder engine. Getting this or not? And for 4-cylinder engine, for big engines like 4-cylinder engine, the value of this c is generally taken as 2/5. So instead of balancing completely, we balance it by fraction, 2/3 to 3/4 fraction in a 2-cylinder and 2/5 fraction in a 4-cylinder engine. Getting this or not? Okay. Now second type of force is the unbalanced force, which is perpendicular to the line of stroke, and as we have discussed that this perpendicular force will cause the jumping effect. Okay, and the maximum value of that perpendicular force, unbalanced perpendicular force perpendicular to the line of stroke, is nothing but hammer blow. The maximum value of unbalanced force perpendicular to the line of stroke is nothing but hammer blow. Okay, so we will determine the value of this hammer blow. So unbalanced force, as we know, unbalanced force perpendicular to line of stroke. So we have already determined this. How much is this unbalanced force? mb omega square rb into sine of theta. Okay, the maximum value of this unbalanced force, for maximum value, theta should be equal to 90 degree. Therefore hammer blow, the maximum value is nothing but hammer blow, so this hammer blow will be equal to mb omega square rb. Getting this on? This is the maximum value of the unbalanced force. Actually the value of this unbalanced force is mb omega square rb sine theta. Sine theta means that is dependent on theta, that is varying, and at a time when sine theta is maximum, this will be maximum, and when sine theta is minimum, this will be minimum. So this will follow a sine curve, in fact, like this. Okay, and the maximum value here, the maximum value of this this is 0 degree, 90 degree, 180 degree, then 270 degree and 360 degree. Okay, and this maximum value is nothing but hammer blow. Getting this or not? Okay, so this is the hammer blow. Next we have the wheel. This hammer blow is acting upon the wheel obviously, and one more pressure we are having on the wheel, that is because of the weight of that wheel. Okay, so the wheel is exerting a pressure, suppose P, let P be the downward pressure on rails or static wheel load. Okay, so this P is the pressure because of the load on that wheel, and we have one hammer blow. So total pressure, total net pressure between wheel and rail. So how much will be the net pressure? So this will be equal to P plus minus of mb omega square rb. Why plus minus? Because this hammer blow will vary from plus mb omega square rb to minus mb omega square rb. So this will be equal to plus P plus minus mb omega square rb. Okay, now one interesting thing comes here. If this pressure is P plus mb omega square rb, this doesn't matter. Okay, that is okay. If it is P plus mb omega square rb, then it is okay. Suppose the pressure at any point is suppose P minus mb omega square rb. Okay, and in this case also, if P is less than mb omega square rb, then this net pressure will be negative. Getting this or not? If P is less than mb omega square rb, this net pressure acting on the rails will be negative, and net pressure acting on the rails will be negative. That means the wheels will be lifted from the rails. Getting this or not? Okay, so in order that wheel should stuck to the rails, we have a limiting condition. So what the limiting condition says? What is the limiting condition for the wheels to stuck on the rails? So what will be the limiting condition? This P should be equal to mb omega square rb. From here you can calculate the value of omega. So this is equal to what? P upon mb rb under root. Getting this now? Okay, so this from here we can determine the limiting value of speed such that the rails should not lift over the wheels. Getting this not? Okay.